Sweet Jesus, I just want to pray tonight that, if one person kind of grasps hold of what we're going to be talking about tonight, I think that would be a good thing. That could be a good beginning of a great healing and some incredible freedom. So I pray for that tonight, Lord. I pray for you to speak through this and pray for you to set us free from ourselves. In your sweet name, amen. So the title of this message tonight goes like this: 3 things that I can do to help myself that will end up or can end up being helpful for my loved one. So if you're codependent right now, like me, and you heard everything I just said, you're probably feeling about like this. That right there was maybe the last time you will ever see Clemson University win anything important whatsoever after last weekend. Amen? Right there. Take a picture if you want to. Take a picture on the screen, any of the screens. You may never see that again. I'm just telling you. That's what I feel right now. Am I negative? Yeah, you bet. So, But right now, like, you're overjoyed. You're thinking, maybe if you're in codependent, you're like, I have just won the Super Bowl. I have won the national championship. Whatever. You're thinking, it really is true that I got to put this fire in my life out with my loved one or my friend. And it's also true that I'm the only one that can do it, because all you heard out of that title was 3 things I can do. That's all you heard probably. It was like, and we're going to start off with a completely different way of looking at this. And we're going to start off with a conversation about what is, when people use the word detachment, what is detachment really all about? Like, I think in almost every way, the conventional wisdom of detachment is the exact opposite of what detachment really is. Amen? I think when you hear the word detachment, for most of us, when we hear that, we're like, let them go, whatever happens to them is whatever happens to them. Doesn't mean that. I think it means like, we just gotta like separate ourselves from them and never be with them again. Doesn't mean that. I think it means that we gotta let them be them and let us be us. Doesn't exactly mean that. What is detachment really all about? Well, what it's not is, detachment is not a complete withdrawal from your loved one. It is not really ditching them, amen? It's not that. It's not abandoning them. It's not ghosting them. It doesn't say, healthy detachment does not say to a loved one or a friend, I don't love you and I do not want to be around you. It doesn't say any of those things. Detachment is a very active activity, not a passive activity. Detachment is a loving awareness of the situation that I find myself in as a loved one and that my loved one finds him or herself in. Detachment is admitting my own powerlessness. It's all of those things. It is detaching emotionally. It is not depending on an addict to fill our love tank. Because the more we depend on the addict or the compulsive to fill our personal love tank, and we're depending on that resource coming from them, number one, the more resentful we're going to get. Number two, when we get resentful, we're going to become, actually in a very unhealthy way, detached. We're going to become more discouraged. We're going to stop doing some very important things. We're going to stop praying for them. We're going to stop having others pray for them. We're going to stop working on our behalf, which gets the person that is in the middle of a compulsion better. We're going to stop working on us, and we're going to stop working on them. If the only thing we can do is pray for this person that we love, gotta tell you, there's a lot of power in that, because when we come to understand ourselves as powerless, God starts to show up. Because we've kind of like cleared the decks and, gotten out of God's way. The truth of this is, like, I really can't detach in my life from my friend, my loved one, my spouse, my mom, my dad, whoever. I can't detach without understanding what does it mean when I say that I am attached. Here's the kind of truth of this whole thing is like, most people want to believe that attachment is a very loving experience. They want to believe that. And they want to believe that the opposite of attachment, detachment, is a very unloving state or station or place in life. They want to believe all that to be true. The reality of it is, I think, if you do a reality check, it's like you're going to get very little support for this whole concept of detachment outside of these rooms of recovery. Amen? Most people you will talk to, if you start to lay some of this out, you go, well, I learned this at church, et cetera, they're going to go, man, you go to a jacked up church. Why do you ever listen to that? Why do you ever put up with that? Why do you pay attention to that? If you really love him, if you really love her, you will stay directly involved in what's happening to them. You will stay connected. You'll do everything you can to influence them. You'll do all the work you possibly can to help them. And while you're trying to get the words out of your mouth, they just keep talking. You're trying to go, oh, wait, I think I am helping them. They will not, in almost every case, outside of a program like this, AA, NA, Al-Anon, they're not gonna hear you. They're probably not gonna support you. They're probably not gonna believe you. They're probably not gonna think that what you're saying has any real credibility. These rooms, Al-Anon, AA, Alateen, ACOA, these rooms have a gift that they can offer all of us. And the gift is like that whole understanding of rigorous honesty. But you're not going to get a lot of it outside of these rooms. I really don't think you will. So detachment, I think it really is maybe the first step toward emotional sobriety. We've talked about emotional sobriety several weeks ago for a few weeks. We have more to talk about. But emotional sobriety talks about the innards of me and the way they're functioning and the difference of them being clean and the difference of them being sober. What do I currently believe I'm responsible for? How do I believe I'm responsible for it? What is my end goal and what is it? Why is it the way that it is? All those things are pieces of emotional sobriety. Detachment, or healthy detachment, is painful stuff because probably along the way, whatever the compulsion of choice is, probably along the way, I have lost a big part or all of my ability to actually love myself, right? And to take myself seriously. And healthy detachment challenges me to just love myself again. Like, that's much harder than it sounds rolling off of my tongue. You know, it's much harder. And the thing about that is, detachment really isn't about detaching from the loved one when it's all said and done. I really don't think it is. I think that detachment is from the enemy. I think when we detach from the enemy, from the work that the enemy is currently doing in our lives, in the lives of our friend or loved one that is in the middle of a compulsion. And I think our detachment is ultimately from like all of the false beliefs that he successfully probably plants in our lives. As I am the only one that can rescue and fix Jack. I am the only one that can rescue and fix Billy. I'm the only one. As I need to play God, because, you know, God, he doesn't get it. Like, God isn't doing it my way. God isn't doing what God should be doing the way I think he should be doing it. There isn't a whole lot about God right now that I like. That's hard to say, but most of us in good old this part of the world, we are not honestly comfortable saying that. We think it and we feel it, but we won't talk about it. I ask that question a lot. Are you angry at God? People almost always say, am I really allowed to be angry at God? Is that really okay? Is God going to strike me dead if I say something like that? Is that really legit that I'm allowed to think that or feel that or say that? It's like I would say, you know what you should do? Pick any book in the Bible, in the first half of the Bible anyway, pick any book and just check it out. Go through one book and see how many people are thoroughly torqued off at God in what you're reading. Is it acceptable? Yes. Is it human? Yes. Is God aware of it? Yes. Does God know that that's happening? Yes. I think you might even ask yourself the harder question. Sometimes, is it true that God encourages that kind of anger at him? I think it might be true. I think it probably is true. And I think that because that kind of anger at God can oftentimes, a lot of the time if we'll let it, create a much deeper relationship with him than we ever had before. Amen? Anybody understand that? You find yourself really, really angry at God, and then you find yourself starting to resolve that emotion, starting to resolve that place that you're in, and you're like, wow, I never knew that God loved me that much. I never knew that God cared about me that much. I never knew that I mattered to God that much. I never knew any of that, man. Never knew it. What else I didn't know is that my worth and my emotional well-being is fully measured by my ability to fix my loved one or take care of people. I did not know that because principally that's not true. But it feels true to almost all of us at one time or another, that my worth and my emotional well-being is fully measured by my ability to fix my loved one or take care of people that I love. If they flourish, I'm good. I've earned my keep. If they fail, I'm not good, and I don't deserve to be loved by them or to love them. And as long as we believe that, we're going to always feel like we're people on the run. We're going to always feel that way. And as long as we feel that, I think we're going to get in the way of all the great good work, healing work that God is going to do in your loved one's life. Most of us as codependents feel like this. We have this false belief that the best thing that the addict can do or the compulsive can do for us is to just let us play God. Would you? We're not going to say it that way, but couldn't you just let us play God for a while? We can show you exactly what you ought to do. We can show you what you ought to think. We can show you what you ought to feel. You can ask somebody, well, what? So let's talk about the last time you decided to relapse and drink or drug or whatever. Why did you do that? Stupid question, really, in the end. It's kind of a stupid question, but I think it is. But anyway, I did not think that, but now I kind of do. But so you go, why'd you do that? And they try to explain it to you, which you're really never going to get, which is the polite version of only hearing what you wanted to hear kind of a deal. And as long as you're kind of the guilt part of it, you're good, like you're satisfied, but guilt doesn't heal, does it? Guilt doesn't heal. Jesus heals. And if you would just let me play God, I can help you out. I can tell you what to think, how to think, when to think it, what to feel, all of that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're the loved one of that person who's struggling mightily, a compulsion of sorts, drugs or alcohol or whatever, you asking them to help you play God will not help them. Helping is taking that powerless piece of it, step one, and going, I got to step out of the way. I got to let God love you. That's what I got to do. And while I'm standing over here, I got to do a very critical, very important thing. I got to relearn, because I've probably forgotten it. I got to relearn how to let God love me. I probably don't know how to do that. The compulsion of fixing a loved one can cause us to kind of miss our own disease. Our own disease is probably, we're fiercely independent at that point. We have a significant God complex at that point where we believe we can save the world, our friend, our loved one, and everything else in between. Our own disease tells us that we have more power than we think we do. Our own disease tells us we can run on forever and never run out of gas. Our own disease tells us that we can't ever be defeated. Our own disease tells us that we always have something, the right thing to say. Our own disease says that we have wisdom that we really don't have, and if they would just listen to us, if you would just listen to me, it would get better. Our own disease says, while you're paying attention to your drug of choice, your compulsion of choice, get this, if you would transfer that over to me, you would be okay. Do you hear that? Like, how in the world could you be okay if you transfer one compulsion onto another compulsion? The fact is, can I have a compulsion with another individual? Can I develop a compulsion? Can I develop an addiction to an actual relationship with somebody else in my life? Who believes that to be true? The rest of you should have raised your hands because it's 100% true. I'm just telling you. It's 100% true. And so, the second piece of what I want to talk about tonight, besides detachment, is how in the world do I take care of myself? Knowing that I may already have that disease in my own life of believing that somehow it can only be me. How do I take care of myself? Well, for most of us that are on the other side of this conversation, that is going to be basically a complete mystery, at least at first. Because you're going to ask questions like this. If I try to take care of myself and all this is going on in her life, all this is going on in his life, I mean, isn't that selfish of me? Isn't it selfish of me to want to sleep well? Isn't it selfish of me to not worry? Isn't it selfish of me to not be the hero? Isn't it selfish of me to not be the protector? Isn't it selfish of me to not try to make things better? Isn't that selfish? While I'm worried about how selfish things are, it's kind of like it takes me to my to a hard question that my oldest daughter asked me somewhere along the way in our walk with compulsion. And so she said to me one night, she goes, you know, Daddy, it's like you're going through the motions of being a dad. Like, you're feeding us and you're doing the dishes or whatever, and you're doing the laundry. They were doing some of that, all that was true, but I mean, you're doing some laundry and you're taking us to school. But the thing is, Dad, like, I don't really know if you actually see us. Like, you're just in a place where you're functioning with us and you get us up in the morning and we do all the stuff we got to do. But like, Daddy, do you actually see us? I mean, that just stopped me in my tracks. Because all I saw at that point, probably for a while after, all I saw was one crisis after another crisis after another crisis that I and only I was responsible for dealing with. And what she was trying to say to me, hello, there's two of us right here. We need you, Dad, and we don't really know how to get you. Thing is, like, what she was offering me as my child, what she was offering me was this gift of loving support. I don't think she knew that. I don't think she would have called it that, but that's really what it was. Because see, at that point, I really knew almost nothing about taking care of myself. The only thing I knew how to do was taking care of myself, really. I knew how to like run and work out, and I knew how to sleep. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Those are the only gifts that I was willing to give myself. Notice that on that list, I mean, my kids really weren't on there. They were in the functional way on there, but they weren't on there in an emotional way. They really weren't. Taking care of myself created an incredible dissonance for me, an incredible discord inside of me. I somehow knew that it was necessary for me to take care of myself, from a practical way, I guess. But I did not find it to be morally, I don't think, or ethically right to do so. Because for that long stretch of time, I came last in every way, and that was the way it was supposed to be. In fact, my kids were picking up on the fact that they also were coming last, and that wasn't the way that they had planned for life to be for them. So part number 3 of this thing is messages like this. How do you let God love you, and how do you love God? But I think it's got to be in that order, amen? I think it's got to be in that order. How do you let God love you? How do you love God? Takes you to questions that have great answers, like, why isn't God doing something right now? Why isn't God fixing this? If I've started off with letting God love me, I'm going to start believing eventually, I think, that God is doing for me what I cannot do for myself, for my loved one, what she cannot do for herself. And God is protecting us from ourselves in every way he can. And in fact, God is doing everything that is necessary. It's like this. Getting sober for all of us is literally a one day at a time process. Our mind eventually is going to come out of the fog, but it's going to come out of the fog day by day. And so in order for me to take care of myself and realize that for me to take good care of myself, I'm really taking better care of you, that's coming out of the fog. Going to Al-Anon and having people say to you, you know what you got to do? Not much, except just keep coming back. That was my assignment for months and months and months. People would smile and they would say, hey, great to see you tonight. Just keep coming back. I've never forgotten the kind of hospitality that I got at those early meetings. See, God, in this room and every other room that we do here, God is always at work. God is never waiting around for me or you to get ourselves together, and then he starts to move on us. See, God has always been right there with us, all of us, in the worst of the muck. That's where God shows up. That's where Jesus shows up. In the roughest of the rough, in the toughest places of the tough, in places where we think things are incredibly silent, God is sitting right there with you. Right there with you. The false belief is that if things are good for me, well, that means God is good. If things are bad for me, well, that means God is bad. And I would challenge you with this idea. When you're uncertain about God, plug into a healthy group, any healthy group, a healthy friend, whoever, to allow other people, these vessels of God, that's what we would call them, to pour love into you and to fill your love tank. Whether you know it or not tonight, whether you believe it or not tonight, filling your love tank is a really big deal. When you're on an emotional or a spiritual journey, it's exactly that. It's a trip, and you got to learn to walk with muscles that have probably atrophied, like taking care of yourself, like taking yourself seriously, like paying attention to people in your life that you love and that love you, who you've somehow missed because the immediate issue over here is overwhelming. How do you take time for that person in your life? A child, a friend, a loved one who's like doing some of this, going, do you see me? Do you see me? Do you see me? And maybe it's got to be you going, do I see myself? Do I see myself? Because that was happening to me too. That walking with those weird muscles like that, emotional muscles, it's going to be incredibly unfamiliar, and it's going to feel like incredibly foreign. It's like when I was going to Al-Anon early on, I really thought that the people in Al-Anon were absolutely brainwashed. Like, I thought they smiled too much. I thought they were too happy when they were talking about very difficult things. I could not figure that out. I could not understand how they could have this kind of joy. I thought they were liars. I thought they were fakers. And then somewhere along the way, 8 to 10 months in, I finally realized, wow, these people are legit. It was well over a year before I was convinced that I wanted what they had. Well over a year. If you've been going to Al-Anon for 3 or 4 months, if you've been going to AA for a month and a half, if you've been going to AA for 3 weeks, just heed the deal. Heed the gift of keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. You're going to keep hearing that. Fear not, God says, for I'm with you. Be not dismayed, for I'm your God. I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's from Isaiah 41. Sweet Jesus, man, we might be very confused tonight about what we're hearing here. We might have no idea how to take ourselves and our pain and our fears seriously. We need you to come and be with us and show us the way and show us the path and show us the steps. And maybe tonight, what we need from you, Jesus, is for you to pick us up and just carry us. Carry us to a home place. Carry us to a place where we trust. Carry us to a place where we can be with you. In your sweet name, amen.